morning, Coasties, and welcome to Rhema Central Coast. It is a Sunday morning, so if you are waking up going, I don't actually know what I'm doing today, I can give you a heads up. You're getting up and you're going to celebrate the fact that you have been given opportunities, all of that, to embrace today, because there's a good chance you're probably not working. There's a good chance that you are probably spending your day fairly cruisy. Perhaps you're spending your day connecting with people that you love. And I hope and pray you do get to do that. Even if you do have to work today, I hope you get just a moment or two to spend some time with people who love you and who you love. People matter. People matter in your life, and people matter, well, you know what? Actually, you matter to them. So I want to just say, regardless of what today might be looking like at this stage, I want to encourage you to remember what really matters, and that is the people in your life. It is the reason that we have community. We have a sense of, belonging, all that sort of stuff. So make sure, if you can, make sure you know your value in your community by getting amongst it. But also, I want to encourage you to encourage others to remember that they, to remind them that they are important to your community, your life, your family, your friends. Let's be that little, that word of support. And I would encourage you to do that. Guys, if you don't know me, I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host. And just before I came on air, were listening to Pressure by Kobe James. Can't even remember if I actually mentioned that. But I kind of thought, hey, let's go back there because, my brain's kind of like a sieve at the moment. Everything just sort of just plops in and just comes straight through, and then I don't actually remember what I've, started off with. But that's okay. That's just where I'm at today. I think it's probably just that winter thing where it's just like your body just doesn't want to work. I'd rather just stay in bed, but that's maybe just a me thing. I don't really enjoy the cold. I don't know about you guys, but most nights by about 7 o'clock, I'm like, all right, can we call it now? Because I'm done. I'm ready for the day to be over. Because Having said that, I'm more of a let's get up early kind of gal, so I don't mind that either. But no, I don't actually get into bed at 7 o'clock, but I'm well and truly ready. I'm like, it's just too cold. It's too dark. There's just no point. Let's just call it. Thankfully for you guys, that means that I am a little bit more energized in the morning. So, fingers crossed. Hopefully today will kick things off well and stick with it. And the energy levels will actually be really good because I have actually been sleeping really well. It's been nice having winter sort of, once you sleep, you fall asleep, that's it. You're out. And that is a good thing about winter, I do have to say. Those big snuggly blankets, that certainly helps. The fact that you're not kicking things off because you're too hot, although every so often I find that I've put too many blankets on and I'm like, But generally, the sleep quality has been a lot better since it's got into these winter months. I hope you have experienced the same, guys. What I can say is that last week, we actually closed the show last week by talking about really along the lines of blankets, thinking about how you have been blessed and to really sit on those things, to make a list even, to think about the things that God has provided in your life that are absolute blessings. Now, last week we talked about friendships and how important they are to both us in terms of us, applying ourselves to friendships, but also to the people that we interact with, the friendships that we have, the friends that we have, giving to them as much as we can. And today I want to kind of follow on from that, and we're talking about family. Now, what I was talking about last week as we closed things off was really just sort of almost fixating, kind of covering yourself up with that big snuggly blanket of truth. When we look at our life, we look at the blessings that God has given and reminding ourselves constantly that God is a God of provision. God is a God of protection. He's a God of deep, deep, deep love. And he's a God who can be trusted in all things. He's a God who has given us so much to be thankful for. And today I just want to zoom in on a different perspective. Obviously, friendships are one of those things that he gives us, he provides us, he shows us people in our life who we can sort of connect with and just learn to laugh with. We can do the tougher days with. We can hold into account. Well, families are an aspect of that too. And we're going to talk through that today. I know family can be one of those things that some people roll their eyes at because, uncle such and such, he's a bit of a nutcase and, perhaps that auntie over there, all she ever does is whinge. Perhaps your mum is a bit of a nag. Perhaps your dad just is grumpy. Families can be tricky. And that's because we're all very individual. But we come together and we try and do life as best as we can as a family. But again, I think today it's really important just to focus on the fact that family is a concept that is given to us by God. It is an ideal. It's I'm fortunate enough to go, I love and have been loved by my family. I'm talking my biological family, my what do you call it? It's got a technical name, but I can't even think. Your family of origin. I was raised in a very loving family, and we were a big family that, if you're talking family of origin, there's only 5 of us in the family of origin, but I had a lot of cousins, a lot of aunties and uncles, and my grandparents, and, it was just cool to be a part of this part of the world where, everyone sort of knew somebody who was connected to a relative of mine, especially in churches, especially in Baptist churches. People would know somebody who's connected to somebody. And, it was, as growing up, it gave me a real sense of belonging. My family now, my own family, same sort of thing. It's when we are together, there is this sense of, there's this relief. It's like, we're finally all together. Families are designed, and ideally that is what we are supposed to feel. We are supposed to feel that sense of, this is good. My family's here. I've got the people I belong to, the place where I'm the most safe. And that is kind of what I'm going to be working from, that sort of framework of what the family is ideally. I know that not every family is like that. I just wanted to put that out there before we get started today. I know that it's not always like that. I know that family life can be tricky. But for today's purpose, we are talking about the blessing of family. And we're taking it from a perspective of that sense of family is the place where we know we can just be around the people we love. And we go, I'm safe. I'm home. I'll leave it there, and we'll cover some more in a little bit, but that's where we're going today. And welcome back, guys. That was Redemption Song by Apollo Ltd. Welcome to Rhema Central Coast. Welcome to the start of a new day and a promise of new things to come. Don't know if it's going to be entirely new, but something new will emerge from today. I'm sure for your sake it'll be exciting. Guys, I am talking about family today because we are talking about the blessings that God can give us. Sometimes we need to be reminded of the things that we can, ways that we can really connect with God and really understand His provision, His deep love for us intimately. And family is one way that God has provided for us. Certainly when you look at your own family, I know, we're all different, but I look at my own family and I am very, very thankful. I had 2 little boys from my family this week. My 3 younger kids were actually with my parents from Monday to Thursday this week, so they brought them back home to me it was on Thursday. And when I opened the front door, because Mike, my husband, was already home and my eldest son were already home, so they had already been spending some time with them. I opened the front door after I got home from work, and these 2 little boys bolted up the hallway, and I just heard, "Mom!" And they both just wrapped their arms around me. And I had this moment of, obviously, I love these guys. I'm just so thankful for them. But I had this moment of, this is what family is supposed to be. That sense of we are back together and we're better for it. That is what family is supposed to be. Now, family can look different from one place to another. Like, I know that there are people out there that don't have siblings, that don't have, their parents might not be around anymore. There might be a sense of aloneness or loneliness. and they're different. They're two different sort of things. But for those who don't have that, it can be really hard to find it. But it does not mean you won't find it. If you're somebody who fits into that category, if you're somebody who, you don't have anyone around that is family anymore, you can still have that sense of, oh, I matter to this place. And it is that sort of family element. So I encourage you, get amongst it if you are somebody who is like that, and go and meet new people. Find those connections. One of the best things that I remember, obviously I've worked in community services for like on and off pretty much my whole life since leaving school in some capacity. But one of the best things when I was down here with you guys working, just voluntarily, but just at Hope Cottage, it's just a, little outreach sort of thing that our church was doing, still does. And just to see people who were isolated and alone come each week to spend some time with other people who had no one. And the communications that would flare up, the interests, the common sort of, I don't know, they just, you'd watch from afar and you'd watch people who became their own little family unit in a lot of ways. They would look out for each other. They'd be there for each other. They would notice if that person wasn't there that day. Now, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about family. Biological family is one thing, and my goodness, it can be such a blessing when the people in your world, the people that you're connected to the most in terms of your DNA and your biological makeup, when you guys, when that all gels well together and you make it work, that's beautiful. But I just wanted to kind of add that other context that family can look different in terms of what it is supposed to do for us. It is that aspect of we're going to do life better by doing it together. But to go back to a biblical sort of understanding, like I'm so amused and almost awestruck by the way that God does biology. Obviously, I look at my two boys. I've got three boys, but my first two boys, when they were first, my now 17-year-old I think he was like 9 or 10. I can't even think when my now almost 9-year-old, so that'll be right. Now 9-year-old was born, and I'd look at the two of them together, and obviously there's a big age difference, but to look at them together and go, oh my goodness, you guys, out of anyone else here, you have the most likeness in your DNA. You're both boys, you're made up from the same DNA from my husband and I, and there is something beautiful about that aspect of family to go, from a biological perspective, there's this oneness, this unity, this understanding that we're very similar. We're built the same way. Now, I look at the church, I look at how God's family is supposed to be. Very similar. We are supposed to look at each other and go, we are built of the same things. We're built with the same stuff, with the same context, the same foundations, the same beliefs. When we're looking at the church as a family, not our own families, but the church as a family, to understand that is, it's pretty special to go, okay, we can learn a lot from our biological families based on how, we interact and what happens to us from a biological perspective, how we're built. We can learn then how to apply that into the church, because if we refer to our family, our church family, as our brothers and sisters, I'm not very good with that, but I do hear a lot of people saying that, we are looking at the foundations of what make us similar, and that is obviously the hope that we have in Christ, the promise of redemption, the promise of starting again, the promise of forgiveness, of newness, of unity, of belonging. It's important to look at our biological families and see how we then apply that to our Christian walk. I'm going to leave it there, guys. I've got a lot more. I actually have completely sideswiped what I was going to talk about in this section here, but it just kind of came to me. Like it is important to look at the biology of how we are made up with our families, and how then, we have this sense of belonging. We kind of can gel with the siblings that we are biologically attached to, based on the similarities that we have, the things that make us unique to other people. There might be a history of health issues that are unique to our family, that sort of thing. Same thing here. It's when we look at the church and the church as a family, it's not really that different. We can examine what makes us very human. We can look at the things that we, will send us off on a path that kind of separate and challenge the church. But we can also look at the things that bring us together and keep us unified and keep us as a family. Anyway, hold that thought. We're back soon. And welcome back, Coasties. It is Sunday. Yes, it is. Welcome to Sunday mornings here at Rhema Central Coast. I'm Lindy. We are getting things well and truly into motion this Sunday morning. We're talking families and what a gift they are to us. If you are rolling your eyes at that thought, if you are thinking, no, I don't feel that, I'm sorry, my family drive me crazy, I want to encourage you to keep an open mind as I speak this morning, because we are talking about how good they actually are. And I want to sort of stretch you. Now, I will be someone who admits I have not always had an easy path to recognizing family and as in good. Most of my childhood, in fact, all of my childhood, my teen years, family life was great. I have never in my whole life felt so secure, and I really sometimes want to just go back home and live at mum and dad's house just because it felt so good. But leaving home, getting married, and then quickly realising that my marriage was falling apart, it suddenly gave me a new perspective. I will be open and honest and say that I walked into a Christian bookstore in Sydney as my life was sort of unfolding and things were going pear-shaped big time. I really wanted to walk over to all the books that were in front of me that were talking about how to have a happy marriage, how to have a great family life. And with every part of me, I wanted to swipe those shelves and throw everything on the floor. That was my experience. So I know that there are moments in your family life that you just think, yeah, no, what a load of garbage. This is not happening. And I hope and pray you don't ever experience that. But I do know that's a reality. There are moments in our life where we just think, this is not how it's playing out. I thought my life was going to look different. And I only say that because that's a reality. I don't want to ever be someone who glosses over and says, Christians have it all together. Our families are all, prim and proper and we've got it all perfect, because we don't. We just don't. It's, we're people. We are going to experience hardships and trials. We're going to experience things that make us go, we're just sort of searching for truth again. There's moments in our family relationships that leave us with questions, and that makes us very human. The good thing is, though, guys, if we have a faith, we have a knowledge that God is in control of all things, that he is the God who is the author, he's the God who, he's the Alpha, he's the Omega, he's everything in between. He knows how to bring it all together. And I would say that he knows how to deal with those family dynamics, those family situations that leave us a little bit shattered. He knows how to work with us and bring us back to a place of safety and security. The assurance that we have him goes a long way. It's huge. But anyway, that's, again, I keep doing this. I keep going sideways. But I just wanted to emphasize that good family life and having good family relationships really is for the overall well-being of who we are as individuals. If we can keep working towards having great families, strong families, people in our life who we consider family, it does something for us. Now, there is certainly from a sort of, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is, but, if we're looking at facts and how good family life helps us, we can note, and there's plenty of papers to sort of suggest this, that good family life can improve lots of different things. Now, some of these things are going to be how we cope with stress. It's having people to have our back. Family life, good family, healthy family life, improves our self-esteem because it gives us that sense of belonging. Our well-being, it increases just all over, just who we are and the way that we feel and experience the world. We have a more sort of positive outlook to a lot of different things. Family life, good family life encourages healthy behaviours because you've got that accountability to each other. You've got someone to say, hey, I notice you're slipping in this way. What's going on there? And sometimes it might be the sister that's driving you crazy and you might be thinking, hold up, back off. But it is good to be in check, to kind of go, I need to answer to people because I need to think of these things myself. And I'm not going to without the feedback from other people. And those people in my life who are my family, they're the ones that are seeing how I behave, how I interact, my thoughts. They might hear things that I say and challenge me on them. And certainly that's a part of having that social support, but also integrity, I guess. There's a little bit of that in that too. Families that are healthy can help us to create really good relationships with other people. Now, one of the most joyous things, I think, from where I'm sitting at the moment, I've got younger children, I've got older children. One of the best things I think that I have experienced is watching my older adult children take on some of the things that we have taught them through their life in their own relationships, the element of boundaries, the things that, places where they need to speak up, they need to kind of question things, but also to be softened by other people. I have one daughter who I absolutely, I adore, but in our relationship as she was growing up, I was the hard one. My husband was the softie. And I was always the one, no, come on, you can keep going. We've got to keep going, got to keep persevering. Resilience was always in the back of my mind. He was more gentle. He was the one that was sitting and nurturing and just being available to her. And certainly I think a lot of that was because they just, this little person who's not so little anymore always had this way of, she was daddy's girl. From straight, if anyone knows our family, you'll know which kid it is straight off because she's just always been daddy's girl. And I could see that was not going to be a helpful thing in terms of her relationships later on down the track. I was always harder on her in a lot of ways. And I have mentioned that to her because I wanted to know that I love her, but was trying to balance what she was getting from my husband in terms of just how much they have a really special relationship. But in terms of her relationship now with her boyfriend, I sit back and I watch because he will be the one that is harder on her in terms of, she knows that she can play people because she is just a delight. She's fun. She's just a joyous person. And she knows that she can try those tricks that she'll try with daddy, but with him, I laugh. I'm like, you are why I support this relationship so much, because my daughter needs to hear the word no. And, it is encouraging to go to look at her relationship and go, she's choosing things that she actually knows are good for her. She knows that she needs people to pull her back and go, hold up, hang on a sec, that's not going to work. And that's what he is for her. He's been that for a long time, and it is encouraging. So my point in all that is just to say, guys, what we see in our kids, we can try as parents, we can try and encourage them to be open to be aware of their own sort of flaws or weaknesses, and to help them to navigate how they can make or find resources and structures that are going to work in line with that are going to challenge them, that are going to help them to be a better person. And that is often finding those healthy relationships outside of what is our family and helping that accountability all over again. That's just one example. I've loved watching my older kids, find people who are really good for them. And that's encouraging because that just shows you the power of family. You have to find the people who are going to be good for you so that, and this is going back to biblical principles, a man can leave his mother and father and become fully united to his wife. If we are talking the family in biblical context, we are talking about that sort of headspace of I'm leaving the old life that I had behind and I am joining with this person. I want to and I need to and I choose to have a life with my spouse. and the offspring from that, the people that emerge, the children that come from that, will see that we choose each other every single day. And in life, they will, that offspring, that children, they will have those choices to make. They will have those choices, but they have to know, and this is where the family time together is so important as children. They need to know what is healthy. They need to know how to do things in a healthy way. I'm going to leave it there, guys. My thoughts are running a million different directions. I actually have a lot of things I'd love to be able to just say this morning, but I don't know that I'm going to have time, because I see a lot of really encouraging things happening amongst families, and it's about being the game changer. Anyway, I'm going to hold it there because I need to. I'll see you guys back here in a little bit. And welcome back. Welcome back to Rhema Central Coast. That was Danny Goki, guys, with If You Ain't In It. Is that not a good thing for us to be thinking about? There's not much point, really, if God's not in it. It kind of feels empty and flawless. It feels like, what's the point? Well, maybe that's just me, but I think that's kind of how things are. In fact, that is my prayer. I pray daily. I'm like, God, help me to remember to find the purpose in everything that you present me to or, draw me to. Help me to remember that you are in all things, and I don't want to do life without you. And I want to encourage you guys to do the same if you can. Guys, I am talking families this morning. In fact, that's probably a good segue for me to be sort of talking this morning. I think family are really important for us to have in our life too. If we don't have family, there's not much point in, we don't sort of find the value that we otherwise could. Now, we live in a world where people tell us that families aren't necessarily needed. We don't need to have children. We don't need to do that because, hey, my life is, I'm just not into that. I can highly recommend that if that is you, you think about that. You reconsider, because I was the same at some point. In fact, I was not going to have children. I was not interested in that at all. And somewhere around I guess down the track, it just kind of just happened. And I have now, I've got 7 kids. So that did not stick for very long. But I understand the world of I don't need that. I don't need the responsibility of caring for children. I'm not really interested. I do understand that. But I can also say as a mum who has got plenty of children that they are a blessing and that family is a blessing. Family, I talked this morning, it can look different, obviously. You can find other people in your world who become like your family, who become your family, if you like. That was a bit of a weird sort of spin on words there, but you know what I mean. I love that God has promised us that we are his children. He sort of, the aspect of adoption is even present in the Bible. And when we look at family in terms of how we understand family, perhaps you have experience with adoption. That sense of somebody choosing you or you choosing somebody to be part of your family, or for you to be part of their family. There is this sense of, I want to, and I assure you that you belong here. Let's make this known. Let's make it real. Let's sign the papers. Let's make sure we've got that sense of belonging. Even changing, the legal name for a child to change their legal name to fit a family. My second daughter did that after she left home. She came back and gave my husband proof that she'd been through all the legal processes to change her name legally to Jones, because she just wanted to say to him, hey, you're my dad in every way. And, she has a relationship with her biological dad. I don't mean that. I just mean in the every day-to-day stuff, she knew that my husband was he was the one that, he was there for the big things. And that really meant a lot to both of them, to be able to say there is this sense of identity in proving that you belong to a particular group, a particular family. And so I know there's some powerful stuff in that. And it's assuring, and it's encouraging, and it's affirming, and it helps, again, like what we were talking about before, it helps with that sense of self-worth, self-identity, all that sort of stuff. It's just a really validating experience to know that you can have a place that is yours and people that are yours. Now we look at the family unit according to God and how he sees family. There is plenty of scripture in terms of how to do family, what family looks like. If we look at Psalm 127, 3-5, it says, children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from him. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. They will not be put to shame when they contend with their opponents in court. It's talking about the beauty of family, and that it's a gift. Again, it's the emphasis of it being a gift. There is plenty, as I said, of scripture regarding family. If we look at, even from the foundations, from Genesis, we look at what I mentioned before, a man choosing to leave his mother and father and becoming united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. They're doing life together. They're doing oneness. They are choosing to do life together. It is that sense of choosing that I think it's actually a beautiful thing, and that God does allow us to choose in a lot of ways. But it's also that element of respect for where a person has been, but also that I don't know, just this whole unity thing I think is just beautiful. And from that is the offspring that can come, and that is where we see those moments of bonding that just deepen even more. It's, you look at, I've done a lot of studies into families and parent-child relationships and that sort of thing, and the bond that a parent experiences with their child is just, in most cases, instant. It's like you can look at the child and go, you're mine. And isn't it beautiful that God looks at us the same way and says, you are mine? Even if you have no biological family around right now, guys, even if you feel like you are so alone, you are still part of his family if you have come to him and you've spent some of your time in prayer, in discussions, in talking to him about having a relationship with him. He says the same words, you are mine, and that is really special. So you do have family, and even if you're not feeling that at the moment, I encourage you, obviously, as I said before, to get out amongst it, go to a new church, go to different people that you can sort of gel with, different community groups that support your religious values, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, that's important, but I'm talking the beauty of the family that we're naturally just born into. There is just something so unique and so beautiful about that. And yet, that is how generation to generation we have seen time past. It's kind of cool to think every family is so unique, but yet we have so many similarities. It's a big one, I know. But guys, I want to say, if you have a family, be thankful. Be thankful today to God for the people in your family. Be thankful for the pile of clothes that are on the floor that your kids have left for you, because that means that they've been there and they've left a mess and they're comfortable. They're comfortable to do that. Be thankful for the temper tantrums that you're still dealing with, because that means that there is an opportunity to educate, to be able to walk the challenging road with, emotional regulation, all that sort of stuff. Be thankful for the teenager that just comes out every so often and grunts. How's your day going? Okay, cool, good conversation, but at least we can talk in some way. At least I know you're here, you're home, you are where you need to be. Be thankful for the spouse that, might know how to irritate you from time to time. Because maybe there's some truth to what they've been talking to you about, the things that they've been sort of reminding you with. Maybe there's a little bit of something that you need to work on yourself. The things that we are exposed to that drive us crazy from time to time, they're still a gift. And it is how we embrace that that can change and alter how the whole outcome for the family is received, is embraced, I guess. I'm going to come back in a little bit. We're going to close things off, but just wanted to give you that sort of reminder that the things that drive us crazy about our family are actually the things that we can be most thankful for. Yeah, that's a big one. 1 John 4:19. We love because he first loved us. I think that those words there really kind of stand out to me, because I think that as we are talking here this morning at Rhema Central Coast about families, that is a foundational part of how we do family life, is it not? Especially in the faith sort of community. We recognise that there are moments that we don't want to love. We don't want to apply ourselves to the people that are in our life. Sometimes they tick us off. Sometimes they drive us crazy. Sometimes they do things you just think, come on, seriously? But we love because he first loved us. And our love goes deeper than this element of, the material stuff, the conventional, or the, that's not even the right word I'm looking for. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking more of like a sort of comfort level, the things that put us out. If we are talking things like being lazy and leaving cups around the house, and you think, come on, you're just being so lazy. Does it really matter in the scheme of things? No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Yes, it's frustrating. But we have an understanding of a love that goes beyond the frustrating. You might be a parent at the moment. If you are talking families in crisis, you might be in a sort of situation as a parent where you feel incredibly, I'm getting a bit tongue-tied this morning, but you might be so overwhelmed with the situations that are happening for your children, or there might be things that they are doing that you are really being tested on how much you love them, and how you're going to work with that love. Generationally, I think we have seen different ways of doing things to interact with our family, to deal with those crisis situations. And I think we're in a pretty good place as a society to know what we can and can't do in terms of other people's safety. I think there's, we've got a long way to go, obviously, but we are, we're in a much better place than what we were for a time. It was, sin was kind of hidden. Things that went pear-shaped were hidden. There was a sense of pride that we didn't let people see things actually for what they were. We didn't allow people to see that our family was messed up. We didn't allow people to know that our daughter had done this, or our son was involved in this or that, And I think we're in a better place in that we're able to accept and recognize that every one of us are kind of messed up at some point. We all make dumb choices from time to time. But our job is to embrace, and our job is to love because God, because Jesus, because the Holy Spirit love us. And they love us deeply. And that is what we are called to do. Now, if you are someone who is in the middle of some crisis stuff going on with your family at the moment, this is a time in your life that you can really experience the deep love of Christ. Because when you love your kids even more, even through their dumb choices, if you like, something happens. We deepen, we get better at loving. And doesn't mean you accept the behaviours or the choices necessarily, but you learn to love like Christ. And if we as families, if our families can focus on doing life like that, we are going a long way. It's a game changer when we love deeply. Guys, I want to leave that with you. Our families are a gift. Even the troublesome times where things are not going right, we have an aspect of choice. We can choose each other. We need to choose each other because God has chosen us. He chooses to love us. And we have the same responsibility to be able to choose the people in our life, the family, the people that bless us. It's rewarding when we see that choosing each other helps the people we love to stay affirmed, to stay valued, to make wise choices or wiser choices. I just encourage you. Love deeply, love big. Thank God for the gift of your family, whether that happens to be your spouse or somebody like a child. It might be an auntie, it might be an uncle, it might be lots of different things, lots of different people, but family is a gift. And God, I just want to say thank you for the gift of families, because you have shown us so much about how much you love us as your child. And a big amen to that, hey? Guys, have a great week. I'm going to be out of here now. I hope you can celebrate your family this week. Keep writing that list. Keep looking at the things in your life that are a reminder that God loves you, God has blessed you, and say thanks. Say thanks and, yeah, celebrate Him. All right, I'm out of here. Have a great Sunday, a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.